Hello everyone, I am Onik Kirtonia and this is my final project for CS50 cybersecurity course. Today I will presenting a real cybersecurity case called Salesloft Drift Authentication Token Breach. This was a supply chain attack that affected hundreds of organizations in 2025. A few details about me first. I am from Dhaka, Bangladesh. My edX username and my GitHub username is below. The incident happened in August 2025. One important thing to mention is that this attack doesn't have a CVE number. That's because attacker didn't exploit a software bug. Instead, they stole authentication tokens, which is different from exploiting a programming vulnerability. In this presentation, I will explain what happened. Then I will briefly explain authentication tokens, show how the attack worked, discuss why it was successful, explain its impact, describe the response, and finally connect it to the topics we learned in this course. The attack was carried out by a threat group called UNC6-395, also called as GRUB1. Their activity actually started as early March 2025 when they are gathering information. The main attack happened between August 8 and August 18. Salesloft announced the breach on August 20, and Google's threat intelligence group published more details a few days later. This shows that attackers were active for several months before the attack was discovered. Who was affected? Salesloft owners owns Drift, an AI chatbot used by more than 5,000 customers. Drift connects with Salesforce and many other business applications. Because of these connections, more than 700 organizations are affected through Salesforce alone. Some well-known companies include Cloudflare, uh, Google, PagerDuty, Palo Alto Networks, Proofpoint, Tenium, and Zscaler. Later investigation found that other services like Google Workspace, Slack, AWS, Microsoft Azure, and OpenAI investigation were also involved. Before explaining the attack, let's quickly understand authentication. Authentication is a system that lets one application access another application without sharing your password. For example, when you click sign in with Google, authentication is working behind the scene. There are two important types of tokens: an access token, which allows an app to use certain resources, a refresh token, which gets a new access token without asking you to log in again. If attackers steal this token, they can often access your data just like a legitimate user. Here, how the attack happened. First, the attacker broke into Drift's AWS environment. Then they stole authentication access token and refresh token that Drift has had stored for customer integrations. Instead of installing malwares, they simply used those stolen tokens to access Salesforce through its normal API. They search Salesforce data such as customer accounts, users, and support cases. After finding vulnerable information, they download it. To hide their identity, they uses automated Python tools, Tor exit nodes, and rented virtual private services. There were several reasons this attack was successful. First, many authentication tokens stayed valid for a long time and were not rotated regularly. Secondly, the token had more permission than they actually needed. Thirdly, there were no system to detect unusual activity from trusted integrations. Another major problem was that sensitive information like AWS keys, VPN credentials, and other secrets had been stored in Salesforce support cases as a plain text. Finally, Organization trusted drifts. So when drift were compromised, that trust was also abused. The attackers also stole many support cases containing sensitive credentials such as cases, contract information, and support cases, contract information, and account data. More importantly, many support cases contain sensitive credentials such as AWS key, VPN username, and passwords, and Snowflake's token, and other secrets. Google believed that the attacker mainly wanted to collect those credentials so they could launch more attacks later. By the end of August, some Google Workspace email accounts has also been accessed through a related Drift integration. Responses and remediation. After the branch was discovered, Salesloft and Salesforce quickly revoked all Drift authentication tokens. Drift was removed from the Salesforce app exchange while the investigation continued. Later, the application was taken offline completely. The FBI also published indicators of compromise and advised affected organizations to rotate passwords, rotate credentials, and enable multi-factor authentication. And this incident connects directly to the several topics from this course. First of all, authentication helps avoid sharing passwords, but authentication token themselves must be protected. Second, it shows how one compromised third-party services can affect hundreds of their other organizations. Finally, it reminds us that protecting privacy also means making sure our trusted vendors have strong security. There are several lessons organization can learn from this attack. Treat authentication token like password by giving them short lifetime and rotating them regularly. Give third-party applications only the permissions they actually needed. Monitor for unusual activities from connected applications. Never store passwords or secret keys in support tickets. Keep a list of all connected third-party applications and remove the one you no longer use. Finally, apply zero trust security not only to users but also to connections between the cloud services. The information in this presentation come from reports by Google's Threat Intelligence Group, AppOmni, Anomaly, WTW Insights, and FINRA Cybersecurity Alert. All references are listed on the slide using Vanguard citation style. To conclude, this incident remains us that even if our own system are secure, a trusted third-party integration can still become a weak point. Thank you very much for listening. I will be very happy to answer any questions. Thank you.